Whether a person is truly blessed can be known by looking at these 5 things. My dear friend, human life is like a river, sometimes gentle and calm, other times stirred by sudden storms. Yet however its course may change, once one has understood and experienced life, one always seeks a single thing: virtuous blessings. Blessings are neither gifts bestowed from on high nor commodities that can be bought with money. They are a mirror reflecting our deeds, the fruit of how we treat others and sow good karma. A blessed person is not necessarily wealthy or powerful, but someone who lives with kindness, simplicity, and earns the goodwill of others. Even as life's currents shift unpredictably, such a person remains at ease, for their blessings form an invisible armor around them. How can we know whether someone is blessed? Let us step into the story of the 5 core qualities, each serving as a mirror that clearly reflects the fortune of one's life. 1. Words. Since ancient times, speech has been regarded as the very root of character and virtue. A single word can change the course of a person's life. As the ancients taught, once a word is spoken, for horses find it hard to catch. A blessed person understands that words are not merely a means of communication but a mirror of the heart. Truthful words form the foundation of lasting relationships, whereas malicious lies inflict wounds that cannot easily be healed. Though light as a feather, words can weigh upon the soul like Mount Tai. Such a person chooses every word with care, knowing that each utterance affects not only others but also one's own character and well-being. They will never use words to belittle, mock, or harm others, nor will they engage in deceit or backbiting. Instead, they speak honestly yet gently, avoiding unnecessary hurt. They recognize that speech is a mightier weapon than any sword. A word of comfort can heal a wounded spirit, yet a cruel remark can cut deeper than a blade. A blessed person always uses kind and uplifting words, offering peace, encouragement, and support. They do not simply speak the truth, but they find a way to convey it so that the listener feels respected. They also know that truth need not always be spoken immediately or bluntly. Sometimes silence is the kindest response. Speech is silver, silence is golden. Those who are wise do not measure eloquence by volume or verbosity, but by speaking what is right, sufficient, and heartfelt. In every conversation, they place respect for others above all else. They never use words to insult, shame, or provoke conflict. Rather, they employ language to mend, reconcile, and build strong bonds. Compassionate words create a positive cycle, bringing increasing good fortune into their lives. And words affect not only the listener but also the speaker. Kind words flow from a warm heart and return peace and joy to the speaker, whereas vicious words ensnare the mind in negativity, bringing suffering upon oneself. Thus, a blessed person keeps their heart pure so that every word they speak blooms like a fragrant flower. As the saying goes, words cost nothing, so choose them to please one another. But choosing words here does not mean uttering false flattery. A blessed person always speaks the truth, yet finds a gentle way to speak it so that no one is wounded. This is the art of communication and a sign of profound cultivation. Those who are truly blessed are ever mindful of their speech, nurturing a kind heart and a clear conscience. Therefore, if you wish to know whether someone is blessed, listen to how they speak. In their words, you will not only perceive their character, but also feel the light of their virtue shining from within. 2. Tolerance. Tolerance is the key that unlocks the gate of blessings. One's mental disposition is the root of virtuous fortune. As the heart is, so is the life. A blessed person is not one who has never faced hardship or made mistakes, but one who maintains a forgiving heart when confronted with life's disappointments. To be tolerant is not merely to forgive others' faults, but to free oneself from the burden of resentment and anger. As the ancients said, with a heart a foot wide, the road of life is equally broad. A generous heart determines the course of one's life. A tolerant person carries within a spirit untroubled by petty grievances, unaffected by small wrongs. They understand that no one is perfect, having erred themselves. Why hold others too strictly to account? This attitude of forgiveness creates harmony, warmth, and abundant blessings. Such a person knows how to resolve conflicts without seeking to win every argument. For them, victory is not overpowering others, but preserving peace and long-lasting relationships. As the proverb teaches, endure a little and the waves calm, step back and the sea and sky widen. Those who practice patience and tolerance find their minds at ease and bring serenity to those around them. Tolerance is not weakness, nor is it lowering oneself. It is the great strength of a mature heart. A blessed person understands that clinging to hatred or blame only harms oneself. Negative emotions such as anger, resentment, or envy are like a slow-acting poison that eats away at the soul. It is said that anger is like holding a red-hot coal to throw at someone else. Before it can burn them, it has already burned you. Therefore, letting go of negative emotions is not only an act of forgiveness toward others, but also a way of loving yourself. A tolerant heart also shows itself in empathy and understanding. A blessed person always puts themselves in another's place to see their circumstances and the reasons behind their actions. Instead of criticizing or judging, they choose to listen and share. A heart capable of empathy is the richest in virtue, for it not only soothes the pain of others but also brings peace and serenity to oneself. Those with a tolerant spirit are often loved and respected by everyone. They are like the sun radiating warm, positive energy, making everyone around them feel comfortable. They are not perfect, but their large heart is enough to cover both their own shortcomings and those of others. This makes them a solid spiritual support for family, friends, and community. Tolerance does not come naturally. It requires long-term cultivation and practice. Whenever faced with something that upsets us, instead of reacting immediately, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this worth my anger? Will holding on to this anger help me or make me suffer more? When we realize that forgiveness and letting go are the path to happiness, our hearts become lighter and our spirits more open. Life is like a mirror. The way you treat it, it reflects back. A tolerant person not only earns the love and respect of others, but also accumulates blessings for themselves and future generations. Tolerance is not only a virtue, but also an art of living that helps us find peace in our own hearts. So if you want to know whether someone is blessed, look at how they treat others' faults and how they face life's difficulties. An open heart and an understanding soul are the clearest signs of a blessed person. 3 actions sow good seeds and reap good fruit. A person's actions are the clearest mirror of their inner self. The ancients said, "Good begets good, evil begets evil." It is not that there is no retribution, but that the time has not yet come. Every action we take, big or small, is like a seed sown into the earth. Sow good seeds, and you will harvest good fruit. Sow evil seeds, and sooner or later you must taste the bitter fruit. A blessed person always acts from a kind heart, for they understand that their actions determine a lifetime of happiness and peace. A blessed person does not need grand deeds to amaze or impress others. Sometimes a small act born of sincerity is enough to accumulate blessings, helping someone retrieve a lost item for a stranger or simply offering a seat to someone in need. Although small, these simple deeds contain great humanitarian value. As the ancients said, doing good need not be grand, only frequent and continuous. Each good deed is a brick building the house of blessings, making this life peaceful and granting protection in the next. Kind actions not only bring joy to others but also enrich the doer's own heart. When we help someone, our own heart is refreshed, expanded, and filled with love. A blessed person rarely calculates gains and losses. When doing good, they do not seek repayment, nor do they crave fame or recognition. For them, doing good is natural, because they value a pure heart more than any material gain. By contrast, ill-intentioned deeds, no matter how cleverly hidden, cannot escape the law of cause and effect. The ancients taught, "Heaven and earth above our heads bear witness. Every evil action leaves a trace and cannot fool the universe." Selfish people who only seek their own benefit without regard for the consequences will sooner or later face retribution. It may not come immediately, but one day they will realize that the price of evil actions is unease, failure, and loss in life. A blessed person clearly understands that kind actions are not only a way to build blessings for oneself, but also a way to plant seeds for future generations. Responsible parents who do many good deeds not only accumulate blessings for themselves, but also lay a foundation of virtue for their children and grandchildren. Conversely, malicious actions that harm others not only damage the actor, but also leave heavy consequences for the next generation. In life, it is not always easy to distinguish good from evil. Sometimes a good deed can be misunderstood, or an apparently harmless act can bring unexpected results. A blessed person is always careful in every action, for they know that each deed carries responsibility to themselves, their family, and society. Before acting, they always ask, "Will this bring good? Will it harm anyone?" This careful reflection not only helps them avoid mistakes, but also helps them live a more meaningful life. Actions are the clearest expression of the soul. A kind heart will create kind deeds, and those kind deeds will in turn protect one's life. A blessed person, by observing how someone treats the world around them, you can know whether their heart is kind and thus predict their future fortune. Right actions not only bring blessings in the present, but also accumulate virtue for the next life. As the ancients said, good or evil in life will receive its retribution. Though a bird may fly far, it cannot escape its shadow. Whether we act kindly or cruelly, we will eventually face the consequences. Therefore, sow good seeds every day so that our deeds not only beautify the world but also beautify our own hearts. For pillars of trust build lasting stability. Trust is the root of character and the foundation of a person's value and virtue. The ancients taught, without trust, nothing stands. One who cannot keep their word finds it difficult to stand in life. To be blessed is not to own abundant wealth or high power, but to be reliable in every word and every deed. A person who keeps their word not only builds trust with others, but also accumulates blessings for themselves and their family. Trust begins with promises. A promise, whether large or small, is a moral commitment. A blessed person is deeply aware that when words are spoken but not carried out, trust gradually diminishes and relationships suffer. Fulfilling a promise demonstrates responsibility and shows respect for the listener. To someone truly blessed, a promise is never an idle word spoken merely to please. It is a sincere pledge backed by steadfast resolve. One who keeps their word understands that breaking a single promise can destroy their reputation in the eyes of others. Once lost, trust is difficult to restore, and this fact touches every relationship in life, from family and friends to colleagues and partners. Trust is the strongest bond. A person of integrity not only becomes reliable but also earns the respect and affection of those around them. A blessed person maintains integrity not only in promises but also in daily conduct. They do not say one thing and do another. They do not use words to deceive or mislead. Honesty, candor, and sincerity in both speech and deed make them a rock of support for others. They preserve their integrity not out of fear of shame or criticism, but because it is the right way to live, in accordance with conscience and moral values. In business and professional relationships, integrity becomes even more crucial. No matter how talented a person may be, if they fail to keep their word, long-term cooperation is unlikely. By contrast, someone who honors their commitments is always valued because they inspire confidence. As the ancients said, losing money is a small loss, losing one's reputation is greater, but losing one's integrity is losing everything. Even temporary success fades when trust is gone. A blessed person also knows that integrity extends to how they treat themselves. When they set goals or make vows to themselves, they persevere, refusing to give up in the face of hardship. Honesty with oneself builds character, discipline, and confidence. These qualities become an invisible treasure of blessings that carry them through life's challenges. On the other hand, someone who habitually makes empty promises creates gaps in every relationship. Such a person may gain short-term benefits through deceit or broken promises, but over time, people lose faith in them. A person without integrity struggles to earn respect, and that isolation leads to far greater losses in life. Keeping one's word is not always easy. Sometimes fulfilling a promise demands sacrifice or overcoming unexpected obstacles. Yet a blessed person knows that the value of integrity surpasses any effort. They are willing to endure hardships to preserve trust and honor. It is precisely this quality that deepens others' respect and affection over time and thickens one's store of blessings. Ultimately, integrity is the bedrock of every relationship in life. It builds trust between people and measures a person's honesty and moral character. A blessed person never underestimates the value of integrity because they understand that losing it means losing everything. Whether life is brief or long, the respect and affection of those around us are the greatest rewards. Therefore, upholding integrity is not just a way of living, but a way of accumulating blessings so that both one's own life and the lives of future generations may enjoy peace and happiness. Filial piety is the root of all blessings among the many virtues of humanity. It is always regarded as the source of all goodness. The ancients taught, of 100 virtues, filial piety comes first. Honoring one's parents is not only a child's duty, but also a measure of moral character. A blessed person surely understands the value of filial devotion and places it at the forefront of their life. Parents give us life and nurture us to adulthood with boundless love, sacrifice, and effort. A blessed person never forgets this grace and regards caring for and supporting their parents as their most sacred duty. They do not view it as a burden, but rather as an opportunity to repay a lifetime of kindness. For them, every meal prepared for their parents, every word of concern, and even the smallest act of care are ways to cultivate blessings. Filial duty extends beyond material support. It shows itself in understanding, respect, and affection. A blessed person always makes time to listen and share with their parents so they never feel lonely or abandoned. They know that what their parents need most is not expensive gifts, but the genuine presence and concern of their children. A simple kind word, a smile, or a warm embrace can be more precious than gold because it brings joy and comfort to parents in their later years. Filial devotion also includes honoring one's ancestors. A blessed person treasures family heritage, preserves ancestral traditions, and brings honor to the family by living righteously. They do not let the values passed down by their forebears fade, but seek to build upon them so that future generations inherit a stronger foundation. In this way, they sow seeds of blessings for their descendants. Filial piety is not a one-time duty, but a lasting bond that links generations. Those who fail in filial duty seldom build lasting blessings. The ancients said, "The tree wishes to stand still, yet the wind will not cease. The child wishes to care, yet the parents are gone." Unfilial children often realize their mistake too late, when their parents are no longer there to receive their care. That regret is life's greatest sorrow and a clear sign that blessings have slipped away. No matter how wealthy or powerful they may be, such people cannot avoid setbacks and unease. A blessed person knows that honoring their parents not only brings joy to the family, but also brings peace to their own hearts. A dutiful child garners respect and affection from others because they live with love and gratitude. That filial devotion also shines as a moral example for the next generation. A family grounded in filial piety is typically harmonious, happy, and embraced by blessings across generations. Filial piety does not require grand gestures, but small, consistent, heartfelt actions. It may be a daily phone call to check on one's parents, making time to visit home, or simply saying thanks for all they have done. A blessed person does not wait until their parents are old or frail to show their devotion. They care for them in everyday life, understanding that time waits for no one. A blessed person also understands that filial devotion to one's parents is not only a personal duty, but also a way to pass this value on to future generations. They teach their children and grandchildren to appreciate the sacrifices of their grandparents and parents so that the tradition of filial piety continues through each generation. A family in which many generations practice filial devotion together is the clearest sign of prosperity and blessing. Dear friend, a person's life is, in the end, like a vast field where what we sow today determines tomorrow's harvest. Virtuous blessings are neither distant nor miraculous gifts from the heavens, but the result of how we live, think, and act each day. A blessed person is careful in speech, maintains a compassionate heart, performs kind deeds, upholds complete integrity, and, above all, cherishes filial devotion to parents and ancestors. Virtuous blessings cannot be seen with the eyes, but can be felt in the way someone lives in peace and is loved by others. They are the most precious treasure, protecting us from life's storms and leaving a solid foundation for future generations. The ancients said, "In a household that accumulates good deeds, blessings will surely abound. A home that does good will inherit plenty." Every good deed, no matter how small, is a seed sown into the earth so that tomorrow the flowers of blessing may bloom. Life is a lamp shining with kindness, guided by a pure heart. Remember that virtuous blessings are not far away, but are found in how we treat life and the people around us. Live with inner peace, act with compassion, uphold righteousness, and blessings will come on their own while discord will depart. For virtuous blessings are the mirror reflecting our character, and life will always return exactly what we give. I wish you, on your journey of living and self-cultivation, to always find tranquility, happiness, and serenity. Let virtuous blessings guide your path so that this life becomes a beautiful and meaningful journey.